Welcome into a New Year's almost Eve edition of The Butcher versus the Dance Instructor presented by LB's Meat Market. I'm Neil McCready. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, getting ready for Ole Miss. Its season finale in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl Thursday against Duke. We'll pick that game at the end of our pick segment today. We'll start today with the Trans Perfect Music City Bowl in Nashville. Iowa and Missouri. We're taping this about 3.5 hours before kickoff there in Nashville. So we'll try to have this published before kickoff of Iowa and Mizzou. But in the event that it takes a minute, none of us cheated. We're picking this 3.5 hours before they kick. Got some New Year's Eve games, including a playoff game. Got the New Year's Day playoff games, and then the Gator Bowl. We're brought to you each and every week by LB's Meat Market, 2008 University Avenue in Oxford, right across the street from Kroger. I always tell you, let Kroger be your landmark, and then head over to LB's, get the freshest cuts. We got our, we'll talk about it in a minute, Greg. We got our beef tenderloin at LB's for Christmas. I did it differently this year. I did it this will be the way I will do it moving forward. Yes, we'll talk about it in a minute. I should first tell you that Greg Jones, LB's Meat Market, is here. Caroline McCready is both of them back in Oxford. They're both here as well. So we'll get to some picks and stuff in a minute. I'm gonna hit the pause button. They're trying to interrupt me. All right, back with you for had a little glitch there. Housekeeping is coming to the hotel room. I should have put the sign on the door. I didn't. It's my fault, not hers. All right, so LB's 2008 University Avenue. Greg, what's kind of the hours? What are you thinking of doing New Year's ish as people get wrapping up their big holiday break?
Yeah, I think we're going to be open for just for a little bit on New Year's Eve, probably 10 to 2 or something like that. And then New Year's Day, I think I'm just going to be closed New Year's Day. And then it's just kind of a weird with it being on Wednesday, so I'm just going to close on New Year's Day, watch some football, get a day off of get some rest, and then we'll probably crank it back up on Friday.
I will forewarn people a little bit. We talked about this before we hit the record button. If you're watching the advanced weather forecast, keep an eye on it. Be thinking about that. You might want to make a trip to LB's sometime this weekend, first of next week, to do a little stocking. Yeah, I know that I get back on Friday and I probably would have gone to LB's over the weekend anyway, but it is now a definite stop for me. I'm probably going to stop in the freezer section, grab some things that are already frozen, throw them in the freezer. You can do that as well. You can save $2 when you do it off everything. Save a couple of bucks just buying the frozen items. They're perfectly good. Put them in your freezer, thaw them out when you're ready, thaw them out in some cold water in a couple hours, and you're good to go. It's good as new. At LB's, don't forget, you can also text your order 662-259-2999. Text what you want when you want it, and you'll save 10% off your order there at LB's Meat Market. So how was everybody's Christmas?
Good.
It's good.
All right, well, I'll start. I'll tell you what we did. We normally put the beef tenderloin on the big green egg, and I didn't do that this time. Laura and I just kind of decided we were going to do it differently. And so I seared it on a cast iron on the stovetop. Had a big cast iron. It was a big 5-pound beef tenderloin.
It was the biggest beef tenderloin I've ever cut. I'm pretty sure it was.
It was gorgeous. And I was like, okay, I want to get this right. So I seared it, not long, got the skillet good and hot with some butter, seared it, and then I made a compound butter and smeared the compound butter. I wasn't trying to be fancy or anything, just smeared it on there as best I could, and then put it in the oven at 425 for about 22 minutes. Took it out, let it rest. And I think if I remember right, we decided it needed to go back in for a couple of minutes. We put it back in for a couple of minutes, took it back out, let it rest, sliced it. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was the best beef tenderloin we've had. So, Caroline, what'd you think?
Yeah, it was good. I normally don't love beef tenderloin, but I ate every bit of it.
Yeah. Carson and Aker destroyed it. I mean,
Yeah, they did.
it was like watching, you would think that they had never eaten, and they had eaten a lot already that day. It was ridiculous. But yeah, Greg, that beef tenderloin, 8 people.
Yeah, and
There were,
it's always good to undercook stuff, because
yeah,
like if you can't, you can't go back once it's been overcooked. So,
there was
but yeah,
there was basically none left. It was unbelievable. I
that's
didn't
great.
I didn't think that was possible, but
Yeah.
it was wild.
Y'all do any like horseradish cream sauce or anything, or
Yep.
just
Yep. We did a horseradish cream sauce. We did the twice baked potatoes. We did the jalapenos from LB's, which are Carson and mine. That's our favorite. Um, that's our thing. Yeah, and what else do we have, Carol? We fixed a salad, like a spinach salad.
Salad.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were gonna do Brussels sprouts, so they failed, right?
yeah. So I did this Brussels sprout recipe. Like Laura, we'd gone to
St. Leo.
St. Leo, yeah, for
yeah,
our annual Christmas dinner, and we got the Brussels sprout appetizer at St. Leo, and it was phenomenal.
yeah.
So
I'm a big Brussels sprout guy. I love Brussels sprouts.
Mhm.
so I always do mine in the air fryer. In
Hmm.
about 8 minutes, they're good. But Laura's like, I want them even crispier, and I'm like, okay. So we found this recipe for super crispy Brussels sprouts, and we put them in the oven, and when we took them out, I was like, these are not edible. No, we threw them away. They were so mushy. I'm like, they're the opposite of this. Would have been like, if you want the least crispy Brussels sprouts ever, do this recipe. It was terrible how bad it was. But so yeah, we did that, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was always I we tell people this all the time. It's true though. There's you get what you pay for, and yeah, sometimes you pay a little more at LB's than maybe you could get at some other grocery stores, but the quality it's night and day difference. It was
Yeah,
phenomenal.
and I trim that tenderloin and I tie it nice where it cooks evenly and everything like that. So, yeah, it's just you get what you pay for, and when you come to LB's, that's for sure.
It was fantastic. All right, let's get into some games. So we picked the first playoff games last week, and we also picked a handful of SEC affiliated bowl games. There were 9 games in total. Greg, you went 3-6. Caroline, you went 4-5. So the bad news is, I guess you both struggled. The good news for you, Caroline, is that you have gained a game. You are within 2 games now. Caroline, you're 68-78. 2 games back of Greg, who is 70-76. So both of you have work to do to get to 500, to get into the positive. But in terms of the competition, it's wide open. And so, with that in mind, we'll start right here with the game on December 30th, which is today as we're taping this. It is the Trans Perfect Music City Bowl, Nissan Stadium in Nashville, 2:30 on ESPN. It's Iowa versus Missouri. Caroline, you won last week, so you get to go first. Iowa is a 3-point underdog against the Missouri Tigers.
I'm gonna go with Mizzou.
All right, taking the Tigers. In particular reason why?
Nope, I have a different strategy this week, but I'm not gonna uncover it.
Okay. All right. All
It's
right,
not
Greg.
ESPN.
All right, Greg. She's gonna take Missouri and lay the 3.
I'm going to take Iowa. I just like the Hawkeyes. For some strange reason, I like the under also. I think the under.
Yeah. I like the under too. I will say if Brady Cook is playing the Missouri quarterback, I like the Tigers. All right, we go to New Year's Eve. The game's on Tuesday as we get ready for 2025. It is the ReliaQuest Bowl, Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, 11 a.m. on ESPN. It's Alabama versus Michigan, Greg. The Crimson Tide, a 12.5-point favorite.
I'm going to take Alabama here. I think they win easy by 2 touchdowns.
All right. Caroline Greg's going to take the Tide, lay the 12.5.
I agree.
All right.
Um,
Both going with Alabama. All right, we go a little further south, I guess, or maybe just across the state a little bit. It's the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. 2 things that make no sense together: Cheez-It and citrus. That make no sense. The Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, Camping World Stadium in Orlando, 2 p.m. on ABC. It's South Carolina And the Illinois Fighting Illini, Carolina, the Gamecocks of Carolina, a 9-point favorite.
I'm gonna go with Illinois.
Oh, you're gonna get the points, all right. Luke Altmaier and the Illinois Fighting Illini getting 9. Greg, Carolina's going to take the points. What say you?
I'll take South Carolina.
All right, Greg's going to lay them with the red hot Gamecocks. All right, we go to Texas now. It's the Kinders Texas Bowl, NRG Stadium there in downtown Houston, 2:30 on ESPN. It's Baylor and LSU, Greg. The Bears, a 2.5-point favorite over the Fighting Tigers.
I'll take LSU. I'm gonna assume they're gonna bring out a cool jersey for this game. I would like a cool jersey.
Greg is taking a fashion take. Carolina, he's going to go with Baylor. I mean with LSU and get the 2.5.
I hate doing the opposite because it makes me nervous. I'm gonna do Baylor.
Oh, okay.
I like LSU though, and I like their dance team.
I like their dance team. But hey, it's a competition. We're trying to win here, right? All right.
Mm-hmm.
We got a playoff game tomorrow night, Tuesday night. It's the CFP quarterfinal at the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, 6:30 on ESPN. It's Penn State and Boise State, Caroline, the Nittany Lions, an 11-point favorite against Jonty and the Broncos.
I'll take Penn State.
All right, Caroline's going to take the Big Ten, lay the points against Cinderella. Greg, what say you?
I'll take Cinderella. I'll take Boise State. I'm just not a fan of Penn State. I don't know. Obviously they'll probably win by 2 touchdowns because they're not playing Oregon or Ohio State. So
Okay. All right, we go to New Year's Day. Happy New Year to everyone. If you're watching this on New Year's Day for some reason, it's 3 college football playoff games. For Ole Miss fans, it's going to be kind of a bittersweet day, probably. New Year's Day, you're going to wish you were in one of these games, but it is what it is. We'll start with the college football playoff quarterfinal at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Mercedes-Benz Stadium there in Atlanta. Noon on ESPN. It's Texas and Arizona State, Greg. Texas, a 13.5-point favorite.
I'm gonna go with Arizona State. Texas
Oh.
is really not. I mean, I like my Scatterboo guy, Scatterbo. I mean, I like that guy.
Okay. All right, Carolina. He's Greg likes the Cinderella here. He's into Disney movies apparently right now because he's got Boise and he's got Arizona State against the big bad Longhorns. What say you?
I'll go with Texas.
Caroline just going chalk right now. She's got a plan and she's sticking to said plan. All right, Caroline's going to take Texas, lay the 13.5. We go now to the granddaddy of them all. It's the Rose Bowl game presented by Prudential. This is also a college football playoff quarterfinal at the Rose Bowl there in Pasadena, California, 4 p.m. on ESPN. It's Ohio State and Oregon, a rematch of a game earlier in the season. I think, Caroline, you're up. Ohio State is a 2.5-point favorite over the Ducks.
I think this is my biggest regret from last time is I did not pick Ohio State, and I always pick them. So I'm picking Ohio State.
Yeah, you'd always been consistent with Ohio State.
Yeah, their dance team I always pick because of that, and I did not, and I got it wrong. So
You hurt yourself on going against the grain on Ohio State and picking against your Razorbacks, and they won big in Memphis against Texas Tech. Both of you had the Red Raiders that day, and Red Raiders were blown out. All right, Greg, Ohio State, Caroline's going to take them and lay the 2.5 against the only undefeated team left, the Ducks.
I'm gonna go with Ohio State too.
Okay.
I'm going against the green on this. I just, for some strange reason, I like Ohio State this.
Okay. All right. One final college football playoff quarterfinal, and that's at the Allstate Sugar Bowl, Caesars Superdome there in New Orleans. It's a 7:45 start on ESPN between Notre Dame and Georgia, Greg. This could be a really good game. The Irish are a 2-point underdog.
Ooh, man. I'm gonna go with Georgia.
Okay. All right, Caroline. Greg is going to take the Bulldogs and lay the 2. What about you?
I'm gonna go with Georgia too.
Both taking Georgia. Okay. All right, one final game. Got January the 2nd, so Thursday here in Jacksonville. It's Duke and Ole Miss in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, 6:30 on ESPN. Carolina Ole Miss is a 14.5 point favorite.
I'll go with Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good pick. Duke is very depleted. All right, Greg, she's going to take the Rebels, lay the 14.
I'm going to take Ole Miss too. I think they're going to lay it on them.
Yeah, I do too. This game to me screams blowout. I don't think this is I think there's a handful of these games that kind of scream blowout, and that's one of them. Notre Dame, Georgia is the one that I'm really interested in. I think it's got a chance to be, especially with Georgia with the backup quarterback, it's got a chance to get pretty interesting. I'm higher on Notre Dame than most people though, so I could be completely off. All right, it's New Year's. Anybody got big resolutions? Are y'all resolutions people?
No.
Waking up every day would be a great resolution for me.
Like resolutions are just things you've failed at in the previous. So I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not. I kind of had one, and so I started it days ago so that I wouldn't make it a New Year's thing. And so far, so good, but I'm not putting that pressure on myself.
Yeah.
Just life's got enough pressure to add pressure. Why don't you go do that to yourself?
Yeah. Especially write it down and be like, okay, I got to accomplish this year.
Yeah. It's just, and then when you fail like 6 days in, you're like, okay, well, the whole year's a disaster now. That's ridiculous. All right. Don't forget, LB's. He'll be open for a few hours on New Year's Eve, close New Year's Day, and then keep the weather in mind as we look ahead to what could be a really cold first week or two of January throughout the Southeast, throughout the eastern part of the country, including all of North Mississippi and that area. So if you're thinking about getting a little stocked up, maybe you're coming up for the basketball game on Saturday, heading back to Madison or Memphis or whatnot, think about stopping by LB's, grabbing a few things that are already frozen, throw them in a cooler. You might end up being glad you did later in the week if it's hard to maneuver, if we get ice and snow and all of those things. And then we'll be back with another edition of this show probably late next week. We'll pick the college football playoff semifinals, and we'll launch into the NFL playoffs as we start to put a bow on season 5 of The Butcher versus the Dance Instructor. So for Caroline McCready, for Greg Jones, I'm Neil McCready. Until next time, thank you for being here. Enjoy the holiday. Happy New Year to everyone. Take care.